His name was Mark Langley, and he was around Alan's age. He was only 18 years old. He was described as being athletic, good looking, and somebody who could build a good rapport with just about anyone. So on the night of February 27th, 1982, Mark had been out with some friends. They were just driving around town, seeing what they could get into. But then they started arguing with one another about cigarettes. Now, what about them? I honestly don't know. But this is something that Mark's friend would later recall, just remembering how dumb the entire thing really was. But it didn't seem dumb at the time, because the argument got heated enough that Mark told them, "Yo, stop the car and let me out of here." After dropping him off, Mark's friends only got a few minutes down the road before having the realization of yo, this is really stupid. So they decided to swing back around and pick him back up. But by the time they went back to the very spot where Mark had gotten out, he was gone. Now, in 2025, maybe that would be kind of concerning. Maybe not, though. I mean, Ubers exist, taxis are a big thing. There are a lot of options. Cell phones to where you can call somebody else to come pick you up. But in 1982, it's a bit of a different story. Still, they had just figured that he had already gotten another ride home, not interested in being around them any longer. So they went on with their night, not really thinking anything of it. But Mark's parents were pretty concerned. They let it slide that Mark never came home on the night of the 27th, but the next day when he still hadn't come home, they decided that the only thing to do, the only thing they felt like they could do, was call the police. And I'll be honest, all throughout this case, I'm having a really difficult time not questioning the police. I truly am. Because according to an archived article on Unresolved, the police just weren't worried about it. They figured, Mark's an 18-year-old. There probably was just some miscommunication between him and his parents. He's probably just out. He's fine. And I get that to an extent, but also all of these young guys who start off as missing end up being found brutally murdered. And you're not going to think anything of that? You're not going to be overly cautious? It wasn't until after the police started reaching out to all of Mark's friends who confirmed that they hadn't seen or heard from him since he literally vanished into the night that they were kind of like, well, maybe this is an issue. Just like in Alan's case. And by this time, it had been a full day since Mark had last been seen. So all the investigators had to work with was his last location, which really did not help with the search at all. Especially if he decided to hitchhike and get into somebody's vehicle. I mean, he could have been anywhere at this point. Then, 9 days after Mark went missing, the search was over. Not because he came back home, not because it really was all one big misunderstanding, just like the investigators had hoped for, but because his body had been found. And his body had also been mutilated and was in very bad shape. Now, unlike Peter, whose discovery raised more questions than answers, Mark's autopsy and medical examination were really thorough. It's believed that just like Alan and just like Neil, he was killed somewhere else, and then he was taken to this place where his body was dumped. And remember how the medical examiner was able to identify that Alan's body had been washed post-mortem? Well, it turns out that Mark's body also had been cleaned. They were also able to discover a definitive cause of death. Mark died from massive blood loss from an anal injury. So now you have 3 different young men, all living in the same area, all found in the same general area, all with the exact same cause of death.